Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and today I am joined by...
Hello, I'm Luke, aka SirMime.
And today we are discussing some of the latest stuff with Age of Sigmar 4.0. Now, obviously, we talked about the Jezzails briefly on Tuesday's video, sorry.
We were too much in awe of the actual models themselves, and we didn't do it.
Yeah, we didn't have a chance to mention the rules because I think there was a lot of the pricing increase was kind of putting a damper on things. But yeah, here we have the rule that they show us anyway for these Warpstone snipers. So if it's not moved this turn and was not set up this turn, you can add one to hit rolls, and that's like just a general ability that they can use every turn. Which
makes sense. Like they're a kind of like defended in sniping unit. They don't want to move, do they? They want to
you don't want to run and shoot with a setup like this. So yeah, just wanted to kind of fill in. Yeah, go on.
A little bit on the text above there as well. They'd say they wound on a 3+, they get 2 attacks each, 2 damage with Ren 2.
Yes.
So yeah, shooting's still pretty powerful by the looks of it for certain units in 4th edition.
Yeah, and certainly tied together with that Warlock Engineer, like they're going to be a pretty deadly kind of presence on the battlefield, I think.
So just hide your small foot heroes.
Yes, definitely.
Which, interestingly now, though, like these rules about the Lookout Sir going into the terrain thing that we're going to talk about in a second, I think potentially there's ways of saving your heroes from the shooting.
Yeah. So let's move on to that anyway, because it's a little bit of rules there for the Jezzails and
just a treat looking at them again, though. As well.
Yes, definitely. So we have the terrain rules then, and yeah, this sounds pretty good. I'm pretty hyped for this. Like over.
The core book for 3rd edition, the terrain rules section is. It might as well not be there.
Yes. It's certainly like I found myself when I was getting into it going like, oh, where are the rules for terrain? Good question.
It's like I don't think even playing it like with Throne of Skulls or anything, I don't think terrain has ever come up as like anything.
Yeah. I mean, there are in theory like they've done rules for it at various times, but
there's like additions to saves and things for being in cover and stuff, but like it definitely looks a lot clearer from this article anyway for 4th edition. I'll say that much.
So to clarify, it says that you can just climb over anything that's like less than an inch in height without any penalty. Anything taller than an inch, you have to count the vertical distance as part of your move. So makes sense. You can no longer finish a move mid-climb, but you can choose to jump down from terrain instead of climbing, which will just end you.
That's quite interesting. Like maybe you're on top of a taller building and wouldn't make it down with your regular move, so it's just like, oh, I'll forfeit my actual move, but just go to a lower level on the.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to stop you by that, like just jumping off like a massive tower in the middle of the battlefield. Just be like,
Although that being said, like there isn't famously any multi-tiered terrain for Sigmar yet, so
yeah. Although some of the like 1st edition Khorne fortresses, I wouldn't like to fall off like those towers particularly.
Too spiky.
Yes, very much so. So you can't be in combat range if you're not actually visible, which, of course.
Can't hit what you can't see.
And that just kind of cuts out some really kind of cheesy play that I think that I haven't seen that ever used, but I can imagine someone have gone like, okay, I'm charging your unit inside this building, like.
Just Kool-Aid Manning it, punching through the wall. Yeah, some universal terrain abilities. Each terrain feature has one or more of the following passive abilities.
And we've seen these on some of the things from the battle plans previously. So we've got cover, which is subtract 1 from hit rolls, unless they charged or has the fly keyword.
I like this that like flying things are just kind of like taken out the equation with this. Like.
Yes, yeah, you can't really hide your massive flying galarial bug thing or what have you. Is that flying? That might not be flying. I don't know.
I can't remember if L'Oreal actually has got the fly keyword or not. The minute.
No, I think that I painted that bug. I don't think it had wings. Lapse of memory, as usually happens on this channel. It is our trademark. Okay, so impassable. Models can't move across, be set up, or end their moves on any part of it. Yep, simple. Again, I think with these, there's a lot of them that they're so common sense that they've really been kind of just whittled down into their essence here. And of course, people are going to try and break all these things. But so far, I want to say these seem just simple common sense.
This obscuring one's like very, very interesting. Like the Wildwoods had something like this written into it in the 3rd edition book, but like this one sounds a lot clearer and a lot better for protecting you against ranged attacks.
Yeah. I mean, if you're behind just a brick wall, you definitely should not be targeted, to be honest. Yeah. And then you have the Place of Power, which they cover. It's like a separate ability that just gives your hero a free unbind or whatever.
Again, there's a little risk in doing it, which is quite fun.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second anyway. But the last one is unstable. You can move across, but can't end your move or be set up on it. Any part of the terrain, that's more than 1 inches. So if you've got like kind of a building or something that's crumbling and like grass around it, you can land on the grass, but you can't land on like anything that's slightly
just not on the condemned building.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, as 5 basic rules, that seems to do fairly much everything you want out of scenery. It either impedes your movement, blocks your line of sight, or has like a special effect or something that you.
Like a lot of the battle plans we've seen so far have been like center to center on the territories. So the impassable thing, like if there is impassable terrain on like most of the map setups, that's going to be quite nice.
Yeah.
That just makes like real choke points and things in the middle of the map, and
could definitely like add some really kind of thematic twists to battles when you're working around scenery, like in a kind of what's the word? Like I want to say generic way, but no, in like a realistic way.
Yeah.
Okay, bug me what that word I'm looking for is now. Yes.
It'll come hours from now.
Yes, exactly. Places of power. So this one, basically, at the start of any turn, you can activate the place of power. You pick a friendly hero within 3 inches of it. You roll a dice. On a 1, you take D3 mortal damage. On a 2 up, if it's a wizard or a priest, you can add 1 to the casting or chanting rolls. If they're not, they can use unbind or banish as if they were a wizard. So,
it's taking D3 mortal wounds is quite the risk for getting +1 to cast.
Yes.
But +1 to cast is always good.
If you're in a game where you've got no wizards and your opponent is just trouncing you with them, you might maybe consider like, okay, I'll just move this cheap character onto it and give it a go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a 1 out of 6 chance you get that D3 mortal damage.
Oh, playing vampires in Blood Bowl recently, I've realised how many ones I can roll in one.
Yes. It does tend to happen a lot more than it statistically should, especially when it's something particular like this where you're trying not to get it.
Oh, and then you get the cleansing aquilith there.
Yes, yes.
That's the example I'm giving. Mine's the one I've built up's kind of Slaneshified.
Cool. Yeah.
As most of my scenery is, to be fair.
Yes. I love the lighting effect there. That's very nice. I'm pretty sure that's like the Heavy Metal Team's painted one, and that's just literally a light being shined on it rather than the paint. But it's very beautiful. Lovely twilight shot.
I love that terrain. So I'm so glad I actually ended up buying
it. Is
when they were.
amazing, yeah.
Nothing like a good old floating waterfall.
Yep. So anyway, there was some more info here on like how the terrain fits into the battle plans, and we did see this previously where you can, it has little guides to like small, medium, obscuring, and like it sounds like there will be places of power situated on most battle plans. So that's always an option for players that maybe don't have an unbind available. And it's got a full list, apparently, of all the terrain. Well, it says a list of terrain features old and new. So yeah. I'd like to think that was like a large majority of the previous edition's terrain they've got things for.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope there's at least like the amount of terrain listed in the battle plans within the starter box.
Yeah,
that actually have like proper games with.
But no, the trouble with doing a list like this is, do you go so extensive that like everyone who's bought the models in past editions, like their scenery, can still use it with like a specific thing in here, or do you just like cut that out? Because like you will then have people going, okay, why can't I buy this scenery that's in the book?
Yeah, I feel like it's nice to have a guide to just quickly decide on it, but at the same time, I don't think there's anything from stopping you from saying like this is going to have this.
Yeah. I mean, most of it seems to be common sense as to whether you think it'd be, or like all of these rules. There might be a bit of kind of distinguishment between like cover and obscuring, and that it would help to have a rule book giving you the separate definitions, but so long as you can agree on something with your opponent, I don't think it's really going to be much of an issue if you're not listed in this thing to just say it's got these keywords.
I remember though the obscuring, isn't there like a bit though where it says like as long as you're kind of like behind the terrain in any kind of way, they can't be targeted, or
if it is behind or wholly on.
But then I swear there's like a bit underneath that says I might have just read that.
No, I didn't notice that. There's only that little bit there about obscuring. No, yeah, they say that unlike the faction terrain, the regular scenery pieces are indestructible. So does that change the Gargants one, or could they only kick faction terrain? Oh no, it was objectives they moved, wasn't it?
Oh, they could kick. Yeah, they could kick it to an objective across the board, but like they did do more damage to things that like garrison within certain terrain features as well, like the gate breakers.
Yeah, and you wonder how like kind of garrison situations are quite going to work in this. Like if there's no method of destroying regular scenery, which I mean, I guess there hasn't been anyway, really, but it's like a nice mechanic, really. Yeah, like an opponent's holed up in a building, I want to be able to smash that building down.
I mean, it does mention here about the fact that like you can't just, like someone's camping up on a large piece of terrain that's too high, but you can't sit onto it. They're saying that you can actually charge that unit still, as long as you finish within half an inch of the terrain feature.
Yes. So you can imagine you just like stood at the bottom of the building, like jabbing them with javelins or something.
And this image, I'm very impressed. It's like I don't know what I'm more impressed about, more like them getting that cannon up into that.
Yeah. Is this built off the the third edition scenery boxes? I haven't seen this tower before. I don't recognise it.
It looks quite different. Like I've got some of the like the buildings in the background, but I don't have anything like that tower.
Yeah, it's very cool. Anyway, I'd like to see more of this scenery, and I just like to see more Age of Sigmar scenery in general because. You know, they started off with the corn. That it took them a while to kind of like establish like the the city style with the Dawnbringer Crusades and that. I'd like to see some more kind of established city stuff from 4th edition. So if that's what we're getting, that's interesting.
And speaking of cities of Sigmar type characters.
Yes.
That is an absolutely brilliant Lincoln.
This is nice segue there, yes. So we had this little animated video, and I assume this is taken from a Warhammer Plus show that's coming out soon. It's Callis Toll basically having a talk about the Mortal Realms, and they fairly much explain how the kind of
it's pretty cool.
Universe works.
It's only 6 minutes long, but they do kind of like cram in quite a bit of how the realms work in there.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to do like a point by point summary on like everything they say, but definitely go and watch this video because it was really interesting, especially if you like Age of Sigmar, but don't perhaps know everything about how the world operates.
Plus, Callis and Toll are cool. Like,
oh yeah, they're an awesome character, and like I'm so glad they got the models recently. They do seem to be very much kind of the face of Age of Sigmar, as you said earlier. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, they're slowly rising up to be the actual human mascots.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to actually get around to painting them. I've built up the entire companion set at the minute, but obviously Flesh Eater Courts are dominating my life at the moment.
Yep, that cannibalistic delusion taking hold. Well, I think that's about it for us on Age of Sigmar for this week. We don't actually know if there's going to be anything else before next Thursday morning, I believe, when they show off the full box.
I think it'll be Friday for us in the UK. I think
Friday morning, sorry. Yeah. Yes, Friday morning.
I think America gets
Thursday night.
Thursday night, yeah.
I conflated the two there. So... Yep, we will be right there with a video as soon as we possibly can after that on Friday evening. Stay tuned for that. We'll also have hot news on coming up soon after that, after we've been to the demo game of 4.0.
Very much looking forward to it. Very much.
Yep. Not long to go now.
I'm gonna have my little helper rolling the dice for me.
Adorable. Well, thank you very much for listening. We've been Leader Tree Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.